Hi, I'm Daniel Horan-Greenford, PhD candidate at Concordia University. This is the University of Montreal's new science campus, home to its computer science department, which is at the cutting edge of research in machine learning and artificial intelligence. Like the campus itself, which has many high-performance green design buildings, high-tech industries like AI and other high-skilled services are touted as the clean and green future of employment. It is widely believed that by growing the service sector, we can provide well-paying jobs and grow the economy with much less environmental impacts than supposedly dirtier industries, like manufacturing or agriculture. But is this the case? Are high-paid, high-tech services as clean or green as advertised? Traditionally, the environmental impact of an industry only counts impacts related to on-site activities. And when using consumption-based or footprint accounting also includes the on-site impacts of all an industry's primary and intermediate inputs. But what would happen if we shifted employment to industries with higher wages and likewise higher household consumption by their employees? To answer this question, our study looked at what happens when you attribute the environmental impacts of household consumption by people employed in different industries to the industries themselves. We found that when treating labor's consumption as part of an industry's impact, the impact of the service sector rose immensely. Greenhouse gas emissions doubled, and land use and water consumption both tripled. In contrast, food production's impact dwindled. Its greenhouse gas emissions were 7 times smaller than before, while land use and water consumption were 7 and 10 times smaller respectively. But since we wanted to know what would happen if we increased the relative amount of services in the economy over any other particular sector, we also had to look at the impact per dollar of each sector. We found that per unit value created, the impacts of all sectors converged. This means that no sector is necessarily cleaner or dirtier than another. Why is this? It's simple. Richer people consume more. Sectors typically deemed dirty are in fact producing things for people working in so-called cleaner ones. The reality is that household consumption from the service sector, which pays out just over half of global wages, is in fact driving more consumption than conventionally accounted for. For example, farmers don't grow food for farmers, but mostly for people and services. So what's the takeaway? It matters less where you employ people, or what part of the economy you grow, than how people live. All else being equal, moving workers from extractive industries to services will not lower demand for food, cars, clothes, and other goods that use up resources and pollute. So where do we go from here? The way affluent people live will have to fundamentally change. The world's wealthiest will need to learn to live well with less. 21st century efficiency shouldn't be about maximizing money, but well-being. So let's rethink our sustainable development goals accordingly. Let's drop growth and instead focus directly on the outcomes we want. Thanks for watching. You can read our paper to learn more, freely available on the journal's website.